and welcome back to another episode of The Spanish Tutor. I'm your host, Ian the Bean. Remember to get out paper and take notes down as we go through these things. It'll help you to write down vocab lists, verb conjugations, everything we do so that you can review it later. And as always, pause the video, rewind, do whatever you have to, whenever you have to learn as much as you can. This episode, regular verb conjugations for AR verbs and expressions of time. Hopefully you remember these verbs that we talked about in the last lesson. These are considered AR verbs. They end in the letters AR. They are also regular AR verbs. That means they follow a specific pattern in how to conjugate them into the different forms for the different pronouns. Don't worry too much, we'll talk about this more in a little more detail in a second. If you want to think about it mathematically, think of the AR at the end of the phrase as the word to in English. So the first part is the root, the part that means the verb, and the second part is the word to. Now in English, the conjugation of most verbs only changes for the he, she form in which we add an s, or an es onto the end. For example, the verb nadar, which we'll talk about here in a second, which means to swim. In English, you would say, I swim, you swim, he swims, she swims, we swim, you all swim, or they swim. Again, notice the s that's added on to the he and she form. In Spanish, it's not just the he, she form that changes. All the forms have a different ending based on what the pronoun is. Gustar was a special case because in gustar, the pronoun is the object that you're talking about, and that's why gusta becomes gustan when you're talking about a plural object. The paper? El papel. And so now, here's the general guide for conjugating a normal AR verb. You take the AR off of the end and add whichever ending matches the pronoun in the following chart. You'll need to learn this chart because this is very important. So if the pronoun in your sentence is yo, I, the verb should end in o. If the pronoun is tu, which means you, the verb should end in as. If the pronoun is él or ella, the verb should end in a. If the pronoun is nosotros, which means we, the verb should end in amos. If the pronoun is ustedes, which means you all, the verb should end in an. If the pronoun is ellos or ellas, which means they, the verb should also end in an. So, the conjugation for the verb nadar, to swim, would be as follows. Yo nado, I swim. Tú nadas, you swim. Él nada, ella nada, he swims, she swims. Nosotros nadamos, we swim. Ustedes nadan, you all swim. Ellos nadan, they swim. The water? El agua. Careful with this one, because although agua does end in an A, and you would think it would be feminine, it's masculine, and it's el agua. Quiz time! Now I want you to pause the video and try to conjugate the verb patinar, to skate, by yourself. Once you've done that, start the video back up and we'll check your answers. Are you done? Okay. Here's the conjugation for the verb patinar, to skate. Patinar, to skate. Yo patino, I skate. Tú patinas, you skate. Él patina, ella patina. He skates, she skates. Nosotros patinamos, we skate. Ustedes patinan, you all skate. Ellos patinan, they skate. The person, la persona. If you didn't get it perfect, don't worry. Just review the pronouns and their corresponding endings for AR verbs. Let's try one more. Pause the video and try to conjugate the verb cocinar, to cook. And go. Are you done? Okay, here's the conjugation for the verb cocinar, to cook. How did you do? Cocinar, to cook. Yo cocino, I cook. Tú cocinas, you cook. Él cocina, ella cocina. He cooks, she cooks. Nosotros cocinamos, we cook. Ustedes cocinan, you all cook. Ellos cocinan, ellas cocinan, they cook. The money, el dinero. Here are some other basic regular AR verbs that you can practice conjugating. Ayudar, to help. Cantar, to sing. Caminar, to walk. Bailar, to dance. Comprar, to buy. Escuchar, to listen to. Mirar, to look at or to watch. Here are the conjugations for a few of the verbs that I just listed, just in case you're unsure of your answers. Another good way to check your conjugations is to go to www.wordreference.com, type the verb in Spanish, click the Spanish to English option in the list, and search. Then, on the next screen, click the conjugate link that appears to the right of the underlined verb. The verb that you typed in will appear twice. The lower one will be the underlined one. Ayudar, to help. Yo ayudo, I help. Tú ayudas, you help. Él ayuda, ella ayuda. He helps, she helps. Nosotros ayudamos, we help. Ustedes ayudan, you all help. Ellos ayudan, ellas ayudan, they help. Cantar, to sing. Yo canto, I sing. Tú cantas, you sing. Él canta, ella canta. He sings, she sings. Nosotros cantamos, we sing. Ustedes cantan, you all sing. Ellos cantan, ellas cantan, they sing. Caminar, to walk. Yo camino, I walk. Tú caminas, you walk. Él camina, he walks. Ella camina, she walks. Nosotros caminamos, we walk. Ustedes caminan, you all walk. Ellos caminan, they walk. Ellas caminan, they walk. And don't forget, you can combine these verbs with the verb gustar from our previous lesson to also say that you do or don't like to do these things. The page, la página. And be sure to take into account that there's an accent over the first A in página. Now, time frequencies, saying how often you do something. Now, here's a list of phrases to help talk about the frequency with which you do things. We'll talk about the usage a little later. We'll add to this list of time frequency phrases in the next lesson, but for right now we'll stick with these basic ones. Mucho, a lot. A veces, sometimes. De vez en cuando, once in a while. Nunca, never. Siempre, always. A menudo, often. Rara vez, rarely. So, here are a few phrases in which you can use these time frequency expressions along with the verbs that we've learned so far. Yo canto a menudo. I sing often. Yo nunca bailo. I never dance. Yo siempre ayudo. I always help. You'll notice that some of these time expression phrases occupy different parts of the sentence. Siempre, always. Nunca, never. And a veces, sometimes, can go before the verb, so after the pronoun before the verb. But the rest of these expressions sound the most natural when you use them at the end of the phrase. So now, go practice with your newly found powers. And as always, feel free to leave me questions in the comments section of this video.